See, there's something within us that wants to leave a legacy. But here's the thing you need to know is if God asks you to do something, don't look at the size of the job, look at the size of your God who asked you to do it. See, he laid down his life for you, so that tells me that you are not worthless, you are worthy. And this is what he wants to rewrite into your story. That reality impacts everything.
Hey, small groups, welcome to week 6 of Heroes. Ben Davis, guest speaker from River Glen, was able to come in and share a message about Abraham with us. But before we get to that, just want to introduce all of you to Valerie Vargas, if you don't know her. Valerie Vargas is our small group resident. A week on the job. So
I've got it all down.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Tell us a little bit about your role, what you're doing, and how that impacts people on the other side of the camera.
Yeah. So again, 1 weekend, I still am learning a ton, but I get to do 1 year of just really diving deep into small groups. So supporting our small group leaders, our coaches, doing awesome things like this, making sure that you guys have some great content throughout the week, making sure you're connected. So yeah, if there's anything else I can do to support you in your small group journey, feel free to reach out, Valerie at Lakeland Church.
Yeah, awesome. And if you see her around the lobby, be sure to introduce yourselves and say hello and welcome her to our staff. So Ben came in this last weekend to talk about Abraham. Abraham's a fascinating figure, just religiously, if I can use that word. So in Christianity, Jesus is the biggest figure. But if you look at religions around the world, Abraham by far is the most popular figure, the most popular name. And so it's really important as he is in our Bible and as we talk about him and really look to him as a hero of the faith, understanding who this guy was and what that has to do with you and me. So something you may or may not know, but you learned this last weekend, was Abram was his original name. That was his birth name. And Abram means exalted father. And the hard part about Abram's story, is that he could never live up to his birth name. He and his wife could not have kids. And so that was just this probably weird tension of this is what I was named, but I can never really live up to it practically. And so what Ben Davis was able to share with us was this quote from Visioneering, this book. It says, always speak to someone's potential instead of their performance. Always speak to someone's potential instead of their performance. And God has a moment with Abram a lot like that. And what we say around Lakeland and what others would call this is I see in you. It's actually the letters I, C, N, and U. But it's also a phrase, I see in you. I see in you this. I see in you that God could do something like this in your life. I see in you that you are so gifted in this area. It's this encouraging thing from in the family of God that we can speak into each other these things that we see God is doing. And those have been really powerful ways for us to speak into each other and help shape the future maybe of how people are going to step into what they're going to do next. But here's how Abram's I see in you moment comes about. Genesis chapter 12. It says, the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your people and your father's household to the land I will show you. And here it is. And I will make you into, I see in you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. And the hardest part about what's happening here in Genesis chapter 12 is it takes 24 years of no kids. Like how patient can we be with things that even God himself might share with us? And how patient can we be sometimes even when someone speaks an I see in you into us? Are we willing to wait 24 years for something like that? Abram had to. And it's in Genesis chapter 17, 24 years later, that God says this, as for me, this is my covenant with you, that you will be a father of many nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Remember, that was exalted father. Abram was exalted father. You will now be called Abraham, which means father of nations. I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you. I will make kings from you. And I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants and all the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you. God changes Abram's name. So from exalted father to father of nations. And this is really how, when we first uncover in Abraham's story, the power of an I see in you. It really supersizes Abraham, that you just won't be an exalted father of 1, 2, or however many kids. You're going to be a father of nations. It's this supersizing factor of encouragement that comes in and really gives us a piece of God's bigger vision in our life. And that's what it did for Abraham. As disciples of Jesus and to live as heroes, which is what this series is doing for us, it's inviting us into more heroic living, more how can we be heroes? How can we live after these people? We're called to not just receive ICNUs, because I think we're all dying for those. We're all dying for that kind of encouragement. Not just receive ICNUs, but also help others step into their ICNU moments and to speak them into other people. And so, Valerie, this is a powerful opportunity for the family of God to speak into each other and to talk to each other. And so how have you experienced ICNU in your life? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think ICNUs aren't something that often come about in places outside of churches sometimes. I came from a nice family that gave great compliments on things that you have done, but the vision casting and looking forward on your potential wasn't something that came about often. So actually the first time we talked about it, I came to my small group after that, and we started doing some ICNUs, and they were awesome. That's actually what prompted me. A peer in my small group said, hey, I think you would be a great small group leader. We had some transition going on, so that's what initially got me started in small group ministry. So I'm excited for this group to look around your peers and say, guys, there are some awesome things going on. This is what I see in you, and set some vision, call out some potential. From there, I kept getting ICNUs. It was really crazy. And they would line up with what God was calling me to do. And it was just each step I took, God said, all right, this is what you're going to. Someone would call out something that they saw in my potential. Okay, step by step. And some of them were a little scary. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know folks that have moved due to an ICNU. I stepped away from my previous job because of an ICNU so that I can just really dive into small groups here at church. And it came from an ICNU. And I may have asked Jeff a couple times, like, really? Which is really helpful when you can do that to somebody. But the Lord just confirmed it. And throughout the whole process, he has been faithful. So it's really exciting. So I'm excited for you guys to really look around you and, one, talk about the ICNUs that you have been given. How has that impacted your lives? Where have you gone because of that? And 2, to share those. Mm-hmm. Whether it's someone in the room, a child that you see on a regular basis, a peer, a coworker, call out that potential because it has a huge impact in someone's life.
What a huge opportunity as a small group. Just to I see ICNUs as just an opportunity to get closer relationally. And also just some of that glue that we all hope for when we come to a small group. Some of that can happen just through encouragement. And ICNU is a great opportunity and tool to use for that. And so we hope you have a great conversation. Thanks for joining us this week. We will see you this weekend at Lakeland.